Hey guys, Brittany here, and today we are going to be talking a little bit about the Touch 5 Touch New markers. So the Touch 5 markers are a cheaper alternative to Copics or the Touch Twins by Shinhan or like the Prismacolors. So this is what you get when you receive your package. I ordered the 80-piece set. You can actually get these in different size sets and also different set categories. I got the 80-piece animation set. You can also get them in 40, 60, 80, 120, I believe, and I think the most you can get is 162 or something like that, which is the complete set. They do come in different color variations, so I think there's animation, like design, and then also I think architecture. So each of those sets have different colors as well. I chose this set because it did have a lot of flesh tones, lots of nice pale peaches and browns, and then some of the darker browns and kind of middle siennas. It also had a lot of grays. I use gray a lot when I draw. I like to draw kind of like spookier, dark, like bats and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool that it came with the wide range of grays that it did. So this is the bag that it comes with. I paid for the set $40. That included the shipping. They do fluctuate in price. I got mine on eBay, and you can actually get them on Amazon, Wish, I believe, and then also AliExpress. The bag does not feel cheap. It feels like a really nice high quality canvas bag, kind of like those pencil bags you can get from Michael's or Hobby Lobby, and very similar feel to that. When you open it up, you do see all of the markers. If you can tell, I do have all kinds of different colors in there. We'll be getting more into the colors and blending and all that kind of fun stuff here in a little bit. I just kind of wanted to explain the aesthetic and kind of look what they look like. So some people I noticed received like fine liners. I didn't receive any fine liners, but I did receive 80 individual markers. A couple reviews I saw, they only got like 78 or 79 markers, but they got a couple fine liners. I think you can get different variations depending on who you order it from, but I was quite pleased with these. The marker is a double barrel twin tip. It comes with a fine point, and it comes with a broad chisel point. You can get the barrel in either white or black. I decided to get the white barrel. I do have Prismacolors, which have the black barrel, and also I do have Copics that have the white barrel, but I really like the way the white markers looked. On each end, you see the number and also what the name of the marker is. The thing I found is that the color actually matches the tip quite well. Usually the tip of the marker is supposed to match the color of the ink, so you can kind of know what marker you're grabbing. I did find that a couple of them were a little bit off, but not anything too serious where it's going to ruin your picture. I just say you should make a swatch sheet before you actually start to put these markers on your finished drawings, just so you're not putting too dark of a shade down. They are a little bit thicker and chunkier than the Copics, though they do have a similar shape, which is kind of nice because they don't really roll away from you like a Prismacolor can. I did create a swatch sheet. The colors are extremely vibrant, very pigmented. They are quite juicy. They do have a higher alcohol content though, so it does make blending a little bit more difficult. There is a bit of a learning curve for blending, but they do blend. We'll get into that here in a little bit. This is an example of a Touch 5 compared next to a Prismacolor and a Copic marker. On the Touch 5, you can see that the color label is quite small. It's a little bit hard to read compared to the Prismacolor or the Copic, but it still is pretty easy to read it if you actually look. The Touch 5 is a little bit bulkier than the Copic, but I like that it is more of a square than the Prismacolor. It does fit quite nicely in the hand. It doesn't feel cheap at all. I do like the heft that it has. Some of the cheaper markers usually have like a kind of like a cheapy feel to it. The Touch 5 does not. Here is a comparison of the Copic, the Touch 5, and the Prismacolor chisel nibs. The Copic has the smallest, but the Touch 5 is quite a lot smaller than the Prismacolor. Not sure if you can really see that very well, but it's also a lot thinner than the Prismacolor as well when it comes to the chisel nib. The Touch 5 unfortunately does not have a brush nib, but comparing it to the Prismacolor does have a much smaller nib, which makes it a little bit more difficult with the Touch 5 to get into little corners of your pictures if you're wanting to get really fine details. In this set, I received cerulean blue, baby blue, turquoise, sky blue, light violet, dark light blue, ice blue, pale blue, lavender, pastel blue, marine blue, brilliant blue. The flesh tones include rose beige, chocolate, potato brown, terracotta, chestnut brown, brick brown, natural oak, raw umber, salmon pink, barely beige, brown gray, and powder pink. Also a cream color. The greens include vivid green, yellow green, pale green, mint green, light mint green, deep green, forest green, turquoise, deep olive green, grass green, viridian, and bronze green. The pinks and red include vermilion, French watermelon, vivid red, wine red, geranium, old red, pale purple, carmine, azalea purple, vivid pink, pastel pink, cosmos, pale pink, and pastel violet. My oranges and yellows include orange, deep yellow, pastel yellow, and pale yellow. I have cool gray, 0.5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Blue gray, 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Warm gray, 0.5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Green grays, 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. And I also received a black marker as well. I wanted to also go over and show you how to blend with these markers. I'll be showing you on two different papers. I have both Canson papers. The one is going to be Canson XL Mixed Media in 95-pound paper. And I also have the Canson XL marker paper. You can find these at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. Sometimes you can even find them at Walmart. They're actually quite reasonable priced if you're wanting a decent paper. Alright, so for blending demonstration, I'm going to be using the blue-gray colors 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Because the alcohol content is so high in these markers, you do have to work quickly. I actually find that is easier to blend with the mixed media paper. I feel like since they are juicy, they do the color in the ink kind of sets right on top of the marker paper and kind of makes a sloppy blend. To start, you're going to be starting with your lightest color. So we're going to be starting with blue-gray 1. You can use both the chisel and the bullet nib to do this. I'm going to be using the bullet nib just because I like to use a bullet nib. So starting with your lightest color, you just lay down a very nice color amount. Then going in with your second lightest color, which is BG3. Kind of laying that right on top of that. And again, nice heavy amount of ink just so it goes through and completely soaks the paper. Then we're going to BG5. Oops, I want to use the bullet nib. Now it's always easier to work light to dark. You can't go back and cover up a dark with a light. So it's easier to add more color than to fix a mistake. When you're blending, it's always also really good to do color studies kind of on the side, just to make sure that the colors go well together and that that's the color that you want on your paper. All right, so finishing up with this darkest color, which is the BG9. All right, so now we had to work in reverse. So we just ended with BG9. We're gonna go back to BG7. And we're gonna try and clean up and cover those lines and blend those nice together. And we're going to be going back to BG5. You can use circular motions. I feel sometimes that is easier to blend that color, but you don't really have to. We're going back to BG3. And then to your lightest color, BG1. You can even go back through, oops. You can work with this a few times and kind of go back over it a couple times until you have that nice, clean blend. But it looks like it's pretty good so far. I'm not a professional, so obviously if you guys find a better way to blend your markers, I mean, that's fantastic, and I would love to hear it. So if you find a better way to blend, or, you know, if you are having trouble blending this way, you can always comment in the comment section below. I try to give advice, what I know, the best of my knowledge. I'm self-taught, so I don't claim to be an expert. I think that about does it there. So it's a little bit dark right now. Once it dries, it will look a little bit lighter. I also noticed that on the Canson XL Mixed Media, it is a bit darker because it absorbs more of the pigment. The marker paper, the pigment does come up a little bit lighter. But if you look, you have a nice even blend. Now you can do that with any colors that are very similar. So always, again, start from your lightest color and then work backwards. Alright, so next I wanted to go into blending on our marker paper. I decided this time, instead of kind of cheating and using the grays, which kind of have like 1 through 9, it kind of explains which ones blend well with each other, I wanted to take the greens. So with the rest of the colors, unlike the Copics, they don't have a number pattern and like a name pattern that tells you which markers go together. So what I suggest is just when you get these markers, just going in with them and just testing them, playing with them before you actually put them on your artwork. Some colors do blend better with others. Some look like, oh, the cap looks like this is darker than this other cap, whereas the marker ink is actually lighter. So you really want to play and test these. So today I have Vivid Green, Grass Green, Mint Green, Viridian, and then Deep Green. So if you already have these colors, or if you will be getting, you know, this marker pack soon, you can go ahead and just draw along with me and see if you're able to get these to blend. I personally haven't blended a whole lot with these markers. I just received them a couple weeks ago, and I'm actually recovering from a concussion and a car accident, so I haven't been able to play with these as much as I wanted to, so we will learn together. So I'm going to start by pulling my lightest color down, which again is that Vivid Green, number 48. Just put a nice amount of the ink down. Again, these do have a higher alcohol content, so it does dry a little bit faster than like a Copic or a Prismacolor. Next one is the Grass Green, number 47, which is our second lightest color. Just lay kind of on top of that, trying to get that line out of there. Got the Mint Green, number 56, which is our third lightest color. '54 Viridian. And then the Deep Green, number 52. And now we are going to work backwards, trying to get rid of those lines. I'm going to let that dry here for a few seconds. I do find that the marker paper, that the ink kind of sets on top of the paper a little bit more than the Canson mixed media. So I'm not sure if you're able to see that, but it does make a pretty nice blend. That last color is, I think, a little bit darker than I wanted it to be, but overall, the ombre effect is quite nice. Alright, so for my final conclusion, I'm just going to kind of go back over the pros and cons and kind of how I feel about the markers. So I'm going to start with the cons. I feel like the shipping time can take a little while. Again, I bought mine and about 3 weeks later I received them. I mean, it's not terrible with it coming from China, but at the same time, if you go to Michael's Arts and Crafts and buy a Copic marker, it's instantaneous. I would also say that the caps are hard to put on and take off. I feel like they're not quite as tight as I want them to be when I put them back on, and when I take them off, it can be a little bit of a struggle. The high alcohol content does make it a little bit more difficult to blend, since it does dry up a little bit faster than a Copic or a Prismacolor. And the learning curve on the blending can take a little while. You just have to play with the markers, you know, find your technique. I'm not a professional. I am learning every day with Copics and Prismacolors and now these Touch New markers. I think the more you use them, the better you will get with using these markers. And then so for the pros, the price is unbeatable. Again, a Copic is about $8 per marker. These markers, when you break it down from the 80-piece set, I paid approximately 50 cents per marker. Outstanding. For the quality of these markers, I would definitely say they're worth it. They're very vibrant, very pigmented. The ink is very juicy. So that's a good thing. Even though it is a little bit, even though it does have a higher alcohol content, the amount of ink that does come out does kind of make up for that. They don't feel cheap, and then you can get the different color patterns. So whether you want to do architecture, interior design, the animation set, you have different colors, and I don't think a lot of them duplicate if you buy one or the next set. So overall, I would highly recommend these markers. I'll try and leave links in the description below where you can purchase these. Also, any of the tools that I used today, I will also leave a link in the description below. So thanks for watching my first video. Again, this is Brittany, and this channel is Art Atlas 13. And I'm hoping to put lots of reviews up of different products, maybe some draw with me's, kind of get to know my medium, and hopefully you guys can get to learn your medium. Thanks for stopping by.